We have people from many, many states joining us today for a lobby day and a rally. I'm Betty Marafino, and I'm president of the Connecticut chapter of the Alliance for Retired Americans. And we have been working on this task force for 2 years. In fact, 2 years ago this month. And we've been meeting on Zoom every other week. And so today, we finally get to meet some of our friends that we saw, as Dickie said, on Hollywood Squares for 2 years. And we're going to kick this off. We have some honored Congresspeople here with us, and also people who are going to tell their WEP GPO stories. And we're first going to start off with Connecticut. And I'm going to first call on Jane Roth, a current teacher from Connecticut, followed by Congressman John Larson from First District. So Jane?
Thank you. I always knew I wanted to work with students, especially young students, and especially those who were the most vulnerable. I've been a special ed teacher for 28 years in Connecticut. For the past 22 years, I've been a special ed teacher in New Haven. It has been my privilege to work with high schoolers who were ready to drop out. But instead, so many of my former students not only did not drop out, but went on to continue and graduate from college and lead successful adult lives. It was always my hope to impart the American dream to my students, to make it a reality for them. Why then is it not a reality for me? Instead, I feel victimized by a Social Security system that would punish me for choosing to become a teacher in Connecticut. When my children were born, my husband and I decided I would stay home and raise our family. I worked part-time and continue to contribute to Social Security just as I had prior to teaching. Later, I learned that I would be disqualified from receiving all but a small fraction of the Social Security benefits that most non-teachers would receive. But that's not the worst of it. 7 years ago, my husband died. And I learned that as long as I continue to work full-time, I can collect my Social Security survivor benefits. The minute I retire, that amount drops drastically. So for example, if I retire tomorrow, I will go from earning $31,000 a year in survivor benefits to only earning $2,000 a year. How can that be? My husband worked for over 45 years in the private sector and contributed to Social Security. When he died, he surely expected that Social Security would be there for me. In Connecticut, a teacher, in order to reach full retirement pension, must work 37 and a half years. Well, I took time off from teaching, so it was going to be a long time for that. In fact, if I were to work and continue working and collect my full Social Security retirement benefits, I would be 87 years old. So what are my choices? It is unfathomable that I and so many others like me around the country who chose to become firefighters, police officers, teachers, would be so severely punished by our Social Security system. We must repeal the WEP and the GPO now. I love teaching, but if I knew then what I know now, I certainly would have gone into a different profession. Thank you.
Thank you, Jane. It is my great pleasure to introduce Congressman John Larson, who is my congressman and who has been probably the best supporter of Social Security preservation and strengthening it, and repeal of the WEP GPO. He also is chairman of the Social Security Subcommittee of Ways and Means. So, Congressman John Larson.
Thank you, Betty. Well, thank you, Betty, and welcome to Washington, D.C. And Jane, thank you so much for that compelling story. We hear this all across the country. It's long overdue for Congress to take action. This is not something that can be done through executive order or President Biden, who's called Social Security a sacred trust between the American people and their government, and who's called for the repeal of WEP and GPO. Because it's the right thing to do. Congress has not enhanced Social Security in more than 51 years. The cost of a gallon of milk in 1971 was 72 cents a gallon. You know what that is today. 10,000 baby boomers a day become eligible for Social Security. 65 million Americans rely on Social Security. There are more than 3 million of your fellow Americans who have worked all their lives and paid into a system and get below poverty level checks. Jane articulated the unfairness of a system that penalizes spouses. But it's not the Social Security Administration. It's the body responsible for overseeing and enhancing and making sure that Social Security is delivering on its promise, and that's the United States Congress. And it's long overdue for Congress to act. You being here on the Hill is what it's all about, making sure that your message is taken to people. It's not just teachers, as Jane pointed out, but whether you're a police officer or a firefighter or a municipal employee. And how about, as Jane experienced, all those mothers who are the caregivers of the nation, who took the time off that they need to raise their children or take care of someone who's ill, and found themselves in a system where for many years they received lower benefits in general, and have found themselves the unfair and unwarranted victims. More than 3 million people, the majority of whom are women, and specifically women of color, get below poverty level checks from the wealthiest nation in the world. You paid into this system. It's not an entitlement. This is an earned benefit, as Roosevelt intended to be, and you have earned it by the sweat of your brow, and that's why Congress has to take action. Don't take any BS from anyone you go to. Say, how about you do something that you take an oath of office to, pledge allegiance to the Constitution, and then do what's required. Vote. Because we want to know where you stand. If you got a better idea, put it forward. That's what we call a democracy. But we want a vote. And you're being here on the Hill, and you're making sure that you're taking your message through the corridors of the Capitol is what's vitally important. I can't thank Betty Marafino enough. I think she's testified more before my subcommittee than anyone else in America, but nonetheless, she's out there as an advocate, as has been the Alliance, and more than 350 groups that are coming together and coalescing around what everybody knows is unfair and unjust. This is America's #1 insurance program, the #1 anti-poverty program for the elderly, and the #1 anti-poverty program for children as well. It's time for Congress to act. God bless you. God bless America. Thanks for being here.
Hey ho, hey ho. Let's make it real. They're forgetting the structures this one. Hey ho, let's make it real. Weapon GPO repeal. Weapon GPO repeal. Weapon GPO repeal. Hey ho, make it real. Weapon GPO repeal. Hey ho, make it real. Weapon GPO repeal.
Wow, thank you. And thank you, Representative Larson. Boy, that'll get you fired up and wake you up on this gorgeous day. My name is Susie Dixon. I'm here to represent California retired teachers and myself, all affected by the WEP and the GPO. I retired 7 years ago after teaching 35 years. Though I didn't have the privilege of staying home, I did start working at 16, and when I retired, began paying back into Social Security. So I do qualify for the Social Security benefit, but it's going to be cut dramatically. When I looked the other day on the WEP GPO calculator, my benefit is, at this point, $647 a month. But the government's going to take $360 of that, and that's before they take out my Medicare. So I probably will still owe money on my earned Social Security benefits. California public school teachers are one of 15 states that chose to not pay in to Social Security. We are severely impacted by the government pension offset. That is the one that when your spouse is alive, you get half of their earned benefits. And when your spouse passes, you get the whole amount. Under the GPO, you get nothing. We get zero. And that is why we say right this wrong. Our members, and especially our older members, we live the longest of the 50 states. Our oldest member is 109. So their pension dwindles down over the decades, as all of ours will. When they lose their spouse, they not only face the death of their loved one, they face an instant second earned income taken away from them. I've read testimonials over the years that break my heart. They have to move in with family. They go on government assistance for housing, for Medicare and Medi-Cal, and for public food assistance. That has to cost the government more than if they gave us our earned benefits that our spouses paid in. One of the angriest members I know is my husband of 45 years. As I said, we both began working at 16. He was a public school administrator, so he pays that top amount into Social Security. I got to keep him alive when we collect next year, or I will lose a large sum each month that we have been dependent on. Our age group of women has worked with 2 incomes. And when I read the Social Security definition of why they get out of paying our spousal benefits, it's because, and I quote, many spouses have their own careers and are not financially dependent on their spouse. The law then requires to reduce that spouse, widow, and widower benefits. What decade is our Congress living in? Women have been working and supporting with a 2-family income for over 30 years. This is appalling. We're being punished because we had a career. And we educated our students. We educated every one of those representatives and the senators. So they need to step up now and right the wrong. One of the things that made me the angriest in 2021 under the American Rescue Plan, did you know our government bailed out private pensions at the cost of $86 billion? $86 billion. They can find the money when it's needed. These were private pensions, 124 of them, and none of those members were affected by the WEP and the GPO. Sadly, when I looked at the careers, most of them were male. So it's time that we use our voices, our spouses use their voices, and say these are earned benefits. As I said, the time is now. It's time to right the wrong. We need to take action. I've been a proud member of this task force. It's one of the most inspiring group of passionate people, and I hope all of you can pass that passion on when you meet with your elected officials this next 2 days. Thank you.
Okay. A group that has joined us fairly recently, and we are so happy to have them, and that is the Polish Strategic Alliance Initiative. And I'd like to introduce Dr. Jean Sokolowski. Did I say your name right, Jean?
That's fine. Thank you very much. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Dr. Jean Sokolowski of the Polish American Strategic Initiative. We represent not only Polish American legal immigrants who have earned a foreign pension and are unjustly penalized by the WEP and GPO, we also are speaking for other legal immigrants from other countries as well as U.S. citizens who first earned a pension abroad. Now, in the case of Polish American and other legal immigrants, please remember that they worked hard, raised their children to be good Americans, and paid into Social Security the entire time. When they went to collect their Social Security pension, they were met with a shocking surprise. They were told that their Social Security pension would now be reduced because they did not pay into Social Security while earning their foreign pension. Consider the following real-life example. One of our members worked 33 years in Poland as a teacher of hearing-impaired children, and then she worked in the United States for 12 years as a caretaker for the disabled, and she earned her Social Security pension the entire time. However, because of the WEP penalty, the Social Security Administration has reduced her pension by 60%. She has appealed to the Social Security Administration a number of times, but has been continually put off and in some cases scolded. Consider another real-life example. We have a member who was born in the United States as a U.S. citizen and spent 30 years in Spain as a professional musician. She earned a Spanish pension, returned to the United States, and of course is now entitled to a Social Security pension, but because of the WEP penalty, it will be unfairly reduced. Ladies and gentlemen, in both of these cases, the WEP is not only blatantly unjust, it is categorically absurd. The Social Security Administration is withholding money that is not theirs. So on behalf of the Polish American Strategic Initiative, we ask for your support to eliminate these injustices by immediately repealing the windfall elimination provision and the government pension offset. Ladies and gentlemen, let's get this done. Thank you. God bless America.
Sisters and brothers, it's my privilege and honor on behalf of John Penorio, the Rhode Island Alliance for Retired Americans, President for the Rhode Island chapter, to introduce our Congressman from the 1st Congressional District. Representative David Cicilline served 2 terms as the mayor of our capital city, 4 terms as a state House representative, and began his term of office here in Washington in 2007. We could not have a stronger advocate for senior issues than Congressman Cicilline. He was instrumental on numerous occasions over the past decade, fighting back against the privatization of Social Security and Medicare, making sure that the Budget Act that was passed in 2015 did not raise by an exorbitant amount Part B premiums for Medicare. He has been a stalwart advocate for seniors and has been the acknowledged recipient of Hero Awards from the Alliance for Retired Americans over his years in Congress, including this year. Congressman David Cicilline.
Nice introduction. Thank you for that very nice introduction. Good afternoon. I am really delighted to be here with so many incredible champions working to ensure that every American can enjoy their retirement years with dignity and economic security. As you all know, Social Security is more than a government program. It's a promise. It's a promise that says if you work hard, you play by the rules, that you'll be able to enjoy your retirement and to enjoy that retirement without worrying about how your basic needs are going to be met. And yet, Social Security has failed to fulfill this promise for millions of Americans. The windfall elimination provision and the government pension offset unjustly reduced Social Security benefits for a combined 2.7 million beneficiaries who serve their communities as teachers, firefighters, police officers, and other local, state, or federal government employees. And particularly in this moment where we have lots of concern about inflation, and we should, there has never been a more urgent time for Congress to repeal these harmful policies. Reduced Social Security benefits make it impossible for Americans on a fixed income to keep up with the rising costs of prescription drugs, food, housing, and other costs. And that's why I'm proud, again this year, to be an original co-sponsor of the Social Security Fairness Act and the Social Security 2100, a sacred trust, 2 bills that would repeal the WEP and the GPO to stop these unfair benefit reductions for millions of Americans. Congress must act fast to repeal WEP and GPO, to preserve and strengthen Social Security. And I just want to say thank you again for being here to make sure your voices are heard so we get this done. Thank you.
Let them hear it from you. Hey, ho, make it real. Hey, ho, make it real. Hey, ho, make it real. Weapon GPO repeal. Thank you.
Thank you, Roger. Say it again. Okay, I did it for years the wrong way. You never corrected me. Thank you. And it is my great pleasure to introduce another California retired teachers member that I've known for years, and it's Bonnie Sediel.
Hey, Bonnie!
Hi, I'm Bonnie Sediel. I'm a retired California teacher and other things. I am 79 years old, and I have a 16 and a half year pension, but I was married for 34 years. And during that time, I fully earned my spousal support. I was not sitting home. I was a school board member. I set up park and rec activities. I worked on a children's health initiative. But those things don't pay. I actually taught adult school for $3.10 an hour until they actually raised us till $10 an hour. So I never earned my own Social Security. I contributed to society. I earned my teacher pension. But you know what? If somebody had been married to someone and had been dependent on them for 10 years and then divorced them, when they retire, they will get spousal Social Security benefits. I, however, had plenty of time earning the spousal Social Security benefits, but I became a teacher and they used my pension money against my Social Security and eliminated it. That's totally unfair. This is something, everything that you calculate in Social Security benefits is time and contributions. For me, all it was contributions. This bill is really badly flawed, and it's time for our Congress to eliminate it. Thank you.
Yay, that's right. That's right.
We have the privilege this afternoon of having Congressman Seth Moulton, and I just told him I'm right down the road from him in Connecticut because he is a congressman from Massachusetts. So I know, and he's also a very strong supporter of senior issues. So Congressman Moulton.
Betty, thank you very much. It's an honor to be here. It's an honor to be here today. You know, I got my start in public service when I signed up for the Marines. And I signed up for the Marines because I was inspired by the greatest mentor in my life to do something to give back to others and to serve our country. I did 4 tours in Iraq. They didn't pay me very much, but I earned some benefits that I still use today, like I go to the VA. Now imagine if the US government, imagine if Ronald Reagan had come in and said, oh, no, you're a veteran. We don't want you to serve again. You go and be a firefighter or a police officer or a public school teacher. We're going to start taking those benefits away. So forget going to the VA. Forget getting disability payments you earned. We want to discourage you from serving our country again. That's what this policy does. It says to all those great public servants, don't serve America again. And is that the message that we want to send?
No.
We believe in America here. We believe in this country. And everyone out here knows what it means to truly serve. But you have to understand that this policy, as it now stands, was put in place by the same party that says, we're going to burn books because we don't want you to learn. We're going to take away your ballots because we don't want you to vote. And we're going to take away your earned benefits because we don't want you to serve. That's why repealing the windfall elimination provision is fundamentally about our democracy. It's about saying to Americans that you can go make America better, that you can serve after you've served, that we want you to serve this country again. We want you to build up this government, not tear it down. We want you to serve your fellow Americans, not be discouraged from doing so. And so as you fight for the benefits that you have earned, don't lose sight of the fact that this fight is fundamental to our democracy. It's part of the bigger fight for our democracy that's going on behind us right now every single day. So thank you for being here. Thank you for supporting this legislation, and thank you for being great Americans.
Repeal now. Repeal now.
Repeal now. Repeal now. Repeal now. We got a new one.
Now.
Windfall hurts us all. Windfall hurts us all. Windfall hurts us all. Windfall hurts us all.
Thank you, Roger. That came from.
After that rousing chant, I'd like to introduce somebody from Maine who is retired federal worker.
Nope, state worker.
State worker, I'm sorry. I just gave her a raise. Penny Asdurian. Whitney, I said it wrong.
Good afternoon, brothers and sisters of the repeal. It is wonderful to be here with you today, and I bring you greetings from Maine's public service employees. My name is Penny Whitney Asdorian. I live in Scarborough, Maine, and I have been asked to share my story. My husband and I both had careers in public service. My husband, Dana, worked over 30 years for the city of Portland, Maine as a professional firefighter. And I spent over 33 years with the state of Maine judicial branch as a clerk of court. Throughout our careers, I had an occasional part-time job, but my husband always had at least one or two other jobs outside of his duties at the fire station. We both received public pensions from Maine PERS, and because we received these pensions, although we paid into Social Security for years and earned Social Security benefits, those benefits are greatly reduced because of the windfall elimination provision. My husband and I combined should receive a Social Security benefit of about $1,200 a month. This money is based on what we paid into Social Security and what was paid in by our part-time employers. But after application of the windfall elimination provision, those benefits are reduced to a little over $450 a month. After they deduct our Medicare premiums, the Social Security benefit that we will receive every month for the two of us is $117.
Oh my gosh! That's awful.
When discussing this recently with my husband, he's confessed to me that a great concern of his is if he passes before me, I will receive no Social Security benefit. Because I spent most of my adult life working for the state of Maine, I do not get enough Social Security after the windfall elimination provision to pay for my Medicare. So not only will I not get any Social Security, I will need to pay a great portion of my Medicare premium. I know that we all feel that the windfall elimination provision is grossly unfair. Seniors all across this country are struggling. And right now, with the ever-increasing cost of food, fuel, and especially housing, many retirees are struggling to stay in their own home. And most of the seniors we know and socialize with have taken part-time jobs just to make ends meet. This is an issue of basic fairness. All we are asking for is to be treated with fairness, respect, and to be allowed to collect the benefits that we earned. While I can tell that you all understand how desperate most public pension recipients are feeling, there is also this small glimmer of hope. There is hope that this year, this will be the Congress that can finally right this wrong.
Yes!
Certainly $1,200 a month for two people is not a windfall. $1,200 doesn't go very far, but it can mean a great deal to a couple living on a limited income. We believe that this is the year, and this is the Congress that can finally provide some real relief to seniors all across this country by repealing the windfall elimination provision and the government pension offset, both of which unfairly punish people who chose careers in public service. Careers where there are no 401k programs, no stock options, and certainly no golden parachute packages. I want to thank all of you for being here, for being a part of the repeal movement, and I encourage you to grasp your power and tell your story.
Yes! Thank you! Yes! Repeal now! Repeal now! Repeal now! Repeal now! Repeal now! Repeal now!
Thank you, Penny. It is my honor now to introduce another member of our task force, Patrice Ernest. She's a retired social worker. As you can see, we have from all walks of life here.
Whew. As I said, I'm Patrice Ernest, and I just want to share my story. For you see, he was the love of my life. He was my greatest cheerleader in my 35-year career of working with federally funded programs for older adults so they can remain independent and in their own homes for as long as possible. He cheered me on when I coordinated volunteers for the Meals on Wheels program and arranged transportation services. And when I worked for my area agency on aging, where I helped seniors connect to services and programs. I retired just a few blocks down the road here, working as the National Call Center Director for Aging and Disability Services, when he said, "I'm going to need you at home." And he died 18 months later from glioblastoma brain cancer, just days after our 34th wedding anniversary. He supported me, but you see, he worked hard all his life, from begging groceries to having a successful university career, always paying into Social Security with the goal for us to have a solid financial future. So it's hard and it's extremely sad that it's not happening now, because I can't receive his survivor's benefits because of the GPO. And I'm also impacted by the WEP because for many years I paid into Social Security working for those nonprofit agencies. But today I'm still working to help older adults and persons with disabilities because I'm here today. I'm advocating for those who need the income that they have earned. We don't need longer waiting lists for subsidized housing and other services. We don't need those waiting lists because they already exist, and we certainly don't need them for someone that has to give up their home. Congress, it's fully time to repeal the GPO and WEP, and we're advocating teachers, policemen, widows like myself, who will not give up, because I know our spouse would have wanted their Social Security contributions to go where they were intended to go, to help their loved one for a good financial future, should they not be here. And that's what he wanted from me. Thank you.
Repeal now! Repeal now! Repeal now! Repeal now! Repeal now!
Hello again. I have another honor today, and this time it's actually my senator. Senator Sheldon Whitehouse began his career in public service in Rhode Island as a U.S. attorney during the Clinton administration. At the conclusion of that service, he was elected the 71st Attorney General for our state. He served in that capacity from 1999 until 2003, and then in 2006 was elected to begin his first term as our junior senator in 2007. He has been also an incredible advocate. I had the honor several years back of awarding him at a Rhode Island Federation of Teachers and Health Professionals biennial convention an award from the Alliance for Retired Americans as one of their heroes with a 100% voting record, an award that he received again this year and has received on numerous other occasions. He has been an unending advocate for our issues. He has been a fighter for the things that matter to us and that we care about. Senator Sheldon Whitehouse.
Thank you, Roger, and thank you all for coming out. Let me, in addition to recognizing Roger, whose work in Rhode Island has been so fantastic, also recognize my friend John Penorio, the Rhode Island ARA president, who can't be here but deserves a little credit from afar for all of his work. Roger and John never give up. Social Security we know as a sacred promise to Americans that has lifted generations of seniors out of poverty since we created it. That is why the government pension offset and windfall elimination provisions have got to go. They put teachers and firefighters and police officers and other public servants after careers sacrificing for the good of their communities and contributing to Social Security in a lesser position, and that is wrong. And if we learned anything from COVID, it's the particular service of teachers and firefighters and police officers and municipal employees who stood by their positions through that pandemic. We have been fighting to protect Social Security for a long time. When I got here, I set up the Defend Social Security Caucus with Sherrod Brown and Bernie Sanders. to fight what were then Republican proposals to unwind Social Security and fund, guess what? Tax breaks for billionaires and corporations. And that has now turned into the Expand Social Security Caucus as we have raised our ambitions. And we have a pair of measures designed to take on the WEP and GPO right now. There's the Social Security Fairness Act, the one that John Prenorio and Roger are driving hard, that would repeal the WEP and GPO so that public sector families get their full Social Security benefits. And then there's Social Security 2100, a Sacred Trust Act, which would also repeal WEP and GPO, but also boost benefits across the board, improve the COLA to track actual senior costs at a stronger minimum benefit, cut taxes for 12 million Social Security recipients immediately, and strengthen the trust fund to protect Social Security well into the future. As I said at the beginning, Social Security is a sacred trust. It has been the bulwark of decency for seniors in the country for a generation, and now it's time that we got to work to continue to improve it, getting rid of WP and GPO. Thank you very much for all your work. Look forward to getting these things done.
Before I introduce our last speaker, I just want to mention that on August 14th, Social Security will be celebrating its 87th birthday. It was enacted in 1935, signed by FDR. And I'd just like to tell a personal story that I shared when I testified in Congress about my grandmother. My grandmother was a widow at age 50 with 6 children, including my mother. And her husband had worked in a factory, my grandfather, who passed away when she was 50. But he had some Social Security, not a lot because it hadn't been in effect for more than 15 or 16 years. And as a kid, I used to go with my grandmother to the poorhouse, which was within walking distance of my grandmother's house. And in Connecticut and in lots of other states, there were poorhouses. And my grandmother would bake bread, bring them to the poorhouse, and I would go with her. And those poorhouses were very basic, with a cot and 3 very basic meals a day, no bingo, nothing, just plain. And next to the poorhouses, in many places, including near my grandmother's house, was a pauper's cemetery for people who lived in the poorhouse, passed away in the poorhouse, had no family, and were in the cemetery with a little nameplate as all. And why were there poorhouses? Because people grew up, there was no Social Security to provide a decent retirement for them. And I remember my grandmother saying, "Oh, I don't want to go to the poorhouse." Fortunately, my grandmother didn't. But the poorhouses have pretty much disappeared because Social Security has been a lifeline for so many people all these years. And so we celebrate the birthday on August 14th. Long live Social Security. And I'd like to introduce our last speaker, who is a firefighter from Maine, Dickie Werfel.
Boy, am I thrilled to see all you people here tonight. Thank you for coming. I want to start out this moment by using 4 words, my favorite 4 words. Unity, solidarity, brotherhood, sisterhood. I have a real hard time talking about myself, and so I might have to do that at this very minute, but I will say that when I joined the fire service at age 18, I was a volunteer for 12 years while I paid my Social Security taxes for a regular job that I had. I got to be 26 years old, and there was an ad in the paper for a firefighter. I said, what the heck, I'm doing this for nothing. So I might as well see what's up with that. At the time they hired me, we were making $98 a week. I worked for 35 years, and it took me 35 years to get up to $800 a week. I'm here today for firefighters and cops. I started working for firefighters early in my career. I did 41 years with Local 740, the Portland Firefighters Association. When I retired from the job, they wouldn't let me retire for taking care of folks when they got ill and injured. These are the kind of things that firefighters do. We're born that way. We're born public servants. I got here on Sunday. And I got here on Sunday because there was the Fallen Law Enforcement Officers celebration at the Capitol. 458 police officers died in the line of duty this year, leaving 458 families standing around the box in the funeral home crying. I also want to mention today that the firefighters, teachers, cops, we always get mentioned in the first line. Well, I got to mention something, okay? Think about the people that plow your snow. Think about the people that pick up your garbage and keep your parks clean. Think about the people that keep your parks growing and their flowers. It's all of us. Now, I happen to think that teachers are the most important people in any society. They alone having the opportunity to change the future of our country by influencing our students. People talk about firefighters and cops all the time. No, number one, teachers. I have it.
Let's hear it, teachers.
I had a conversation with the fire marshal who used to be my chief. I can't say his name because he's not supposed to get political. I also had conversations with chiefs of police all over the state of Maine, and also teachers, the Maine Education Association. As time goes by, I'm kind of looking around. There's many of us are sort of like my generation. I'm 71, but we do have some kids here. There must be some kids that are at least 60. So our generation, it was not difficult to get volunteers. It was not difficult to get men and women who were willing to serve as firefighters or cops or rangers or anything like that. But as time has gone by, the chiefs cannot find firefighters and cops, and the superintendents cannot find teachers. When I was growing up, I had friends, and they said, what are you making? I said, $98 a week. I said, what are you making? Well, $350 a week. They had their opportunity, and yes, we get decent pensions from our state pension systems, and we deserve those because we gave our 6% our entire careers. We also gave Social Security its taxes before, during, and after. So you can ask my wife, I'm not usually a person of a few words unless you put duct tape over my mouth. But my name is Dickie Warfel. I was born a public servant. They taught me how to do it in Sunday school. They taught me how to do it in Boy Scouts. They taught me how to do it as a union member. And God bless you all. Just wipe this WEP and GPO right off the planet.
Thank you, Dickie, and thank you to all of those who are here and who helped organize this. Dick said it all, but so did Betty, and so did Patrice, and so did Jane. We cannot continue an unjust law that is so expensive to our country. Let's stop making seniors take the jobs of youngsters who'd like to earn part-time wages. They're not part-time for us. They're what keeps us putting groceries on our tables. They're what keeps us putting lights on in our houses. We need to stop the unjust law. Thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you. Can you all come behind me and let's get a group picture? Let's make this our final photo so that we can show you were here. You stand with us, as do our representatives and the senators who came today. Please come stand with us.
You got a sign? Low, but let it be.
Come on. Come on, Dick.
That's it. Don't step back.
Every single person in this photo gave their lives to public service. Every single one paid into Social Security every single year in part-time jobs, in the jobs of their spouses. Let's give it up to you. Thank you. Thank you. All right, thank you.
Do we have a motion to adjourn?
Yes, thank you, Dickie. Don't move.